In this question, you are given both delta H and delta S, and then asked under what conditions would the reaction be spontaneous. Now, you should definitely know that delta G needs to be negative for reaction to be spontaneous, and you should definitely know this lovely equation that gives the relationship between delta G, delta H, and delta S. In this case, we're just going to plug in delta H and delta S. We'll know that we're going to make this an inequality, that all of this has to come out to be less than 0. That way we get a negative delta G. You should also take notice of the units here. Delta H is given in kilojoules, delta S in joules per Kelvin. This is pretty common. Both the units have to match, either both joules or both kilojoules, your choice. I'm going to use kilojoules. So here I'll make this 50 kilojoules minus T times, and in this case, instead of 200 joules per Kelvin, that'll be 0.2 kilojoules per Kelvin. So we'll subtract off the 50 kilojoules here. We'll end up with negative 50 kilojoules. So greater than negative T times 0.2, again, kilojoules per Kelvin. So you can see that the answer here in temperature is going to come out in Kelvin. I'm going to leave off the units here for clarity's sake, but I'll divide through by negative 0.2 on both sides, and when you multiply or divide by a negative for an inequality, the sign on your, the direction on your inequality changes. And so in this case, we're going to end up with the direction being the opposite. Now here, your two negatives are going to cancel, but dividing by 0.2, 0.2 is the same as 2/10. So dividing by 2/10 is the same thing as multiplying by 10 over 2. So if you're not doing this with a calculator, if you're doing this in your head, that's the approach I'd take. And 50 over 2 is 25 times 10 is 250. Kelvin is less than T, or T is greater than 250. And so this reaction will be spontaneous at temperatures above 250 Kelvin. The other thing you might notice here is that delta H is positive, delta S is positive, and you might have memorized already that when delta H and delta S are both positive, a reaction is going to be spontaneous at high temperatures. And high temperatures simply means above some threshold temperature.